everybody, and welcome back to Aamsuntitledpodcast. I'm Am. Hi, if you've never met me before, it's really nice to meet you. Welcome to my Percy Jackson dedicated podcast. In today's episode, we are going to be talking through chapters 16 to 20 in Wrath of the Triple Goddess. After today's episode goes up, we're going to be more than halfway through the book. Isn't that just insane? Like, just looking at the plan for this podcast, because it sounds so lame, I have a spreadsheet. Oh my God, just reached the heart of being lame. Um, I have a spreadsheet where I have all the episode titles and what date it's gonna go up and what's actually inside, like the content of the episode. And I was like, oh my god, I've only got four more parts of this left before we reach the end of the book. Like that's just crazy in my eyes. But anyway, yeah. So chapter 16 is found at the disco. So we sort of left Percy off by shadow traveling. So this part of the book starts with Percy shadow traveling with Hecuba and Nope, and they stopped outside a German nightclub. But I don't think Hecuba was very impressed with her choice, and she continued shadow traveling again. And they stop in an empty desert, and um, Percy sort of goes up to Hecuba and apologizes, saying that he wasn't trying to trick her when he was being nice to her. Like, he genuinely wanted to just get her back home. And let's just say Hecuba didn't really like that answer, and she dragged him shadow traveling again through a department store. Um, then, once they finish shadow traveling, they end up in the remains of Troy in Turkey on the Aegean Sea, the place where obviously Hecuba lost her children, um, which I thought was quite interesting that Hecuba had taken us there. Um, it's almost like Rick was trying to teach us something really important, and um, it's almost like to move forward in life, sometimes you have to confront your past. The bad things that have happened in the past, they all contribute to who you are today. So I think what Rick was trying to show us was that the only way that Hecuba can move forward from this is by going back to the past and looking at the past and accepting it for what it is. Percy unclips her leash and sits next to her. And this scene is probably one of my favorites in the book because Sally? Hold on. Hold on a second. I might have just confused you there. Percy tells Hecuba about Sally having a new baby. And, he sort of expresses that he's worried about this new baby. Like, he's scared that he might lose this new baby, this new sibling that he's gonna have. Like, he nearly lost his mum, and he says that there's no that was the worst feeling in the world. Like in the beginning of the Lightning Thief book, the only reason why Percy went on the quest was to save his mom, and he's worried that because of who he is, the new baby will be in danger. You know what? He is just, I don't know how to describe him. Like, he is so real and so grounded, and you know he's changed so much in these last books. And yeah, I'm really proud of him. Like, when I read like him talking like this, like it makes me think like, oh my god, my baby has grown up so much. Because I'm currently rereading the first five books. I'm on Titan's Curse at the minute, and he's Percy's just very different, but at the same time the same. I don't know. We'll talk more about that in a little while. And what another thing that I thought was really interesting that I pulled out of the scene was that he talks about being angry when he loses someone he cares about, and that he knows that no matter how angry he is, like, the revenge doesn't solve anything. Like, hurting other people um because of what you've been through or because of your own personal losses actually doesn't solve anything. It doesn't make you feel any better. And I think that that's such an important thing. Like, a lot of the time, when people go through bad things, like, they want other people to feel how they feel, and either sometimes intentionally or unintentionally they're trying to, what's the word I'm looking for here? Pass that hurt on to someone else. They want somebody to feel how they feel, which is exactly what Hecuba's doing. Like, she's not interested in killing anybody. She just wants everybody to feel the pain that she's felt. And, it's so, like, heartbreaking that people feel like other people can't understand how they feel. And I think what Percy said there was just beautiful. Um, like I said, Rick is constantly teaching you something throughout this book. Like, honestly, the moral lessons that I've learned in this book are just something else. And he does it in such a clever way where sometimes you don't even realize that you're learning something, which is, I think, the best quality any author can really have. Um, he tells Hecuba that he just has to concentrate on the family that he has now and to just be happy and just enjoy every moment with them. Now, like the reason why this scene is one of my favorites is because it is the first time, like particularly in the first five books, Percy doesn't really tend to express how he feels. He tends to keep it all to himself because he thinks that being vulnerable and sharing and offloading to other people makes you weak. And in actual fact, I don't think he views it like that anymore. He knows that everybody is going through the same thing. Everybody feels that way at times where everybody's going to feel vulnerable. Even the strongest person is going to have moments of weakness. And it's viewing those things as not a weakness, but also like, oh, it's part of being human. Like, although Percy is a demigod, he's a half god, but there is half of him that's human. And his heart is pure. And like, you can see that. And yeah, I don't know. Like when I was reading the scene, I was kind of getting choked up because, like I said, I just felt like he'd just grown like so much. And when it comes to teaching moral lessons, like Rick is just absolutely untouchable in that field. Like he's honestly amazing. Anyway, let's move a little bit from that. Percy tells her that she needs to embrace the family that she has. Obviously, now she has Hecate. She has sorry, Gale, and now she has Nope. Like she has a family now, and revenge isn't going to heal that grief that she's feeling, but this new family might heal her over. Like sometimes you meet people who help you heal. And I think that's what Percy's trying to demonstrate to her. Like, look, it's really not that bad. Like, you've got a family that can help you. And I think there was some really important lessons that we could all take from there. Percy tells her about how Zeus changed Thalia into a tree. You know, he changed Thalia at the last minute to save her, the same way Hecate had changed her into a hellhound to save her. Like, you know, sometimes like people do things for us out of love. Like they might not be like in our eyes the best decision. That doesn't mean they don't love you. And that's so important as well because nobody is perfect. Nobody's going to get it right first time. Everybody's just going to do what they think is right for the other person out of love. And I think that that's so important as well is to forgive the people that you love. Everybody makes mistakes, and holding those things against people doesn't really achieve anything either. Percy asks Hecuba if she's ready to go home, and he tells her that he'll try to convince Hecate to give her more freedom so she doesn't feel as trapped, I guess. And they shadow travel back to Hecuba's house, and Annabeth tucks Percy into bed. And there's a lovely little Percabeth over here that I love, which is, "Good job, hero," she said. "I'm not even going to ask why you have a bikini bottom wrapped around your ankle." She's so funny. I actually can't. Like, I love that she calls him a hero and then grounds him straight away. Like, it's so Annabeth of her. Like, that's why I love her so much. Like, she never fails to make me smile with her comments. Annabeth kisses Percy on the forehead and he falls asleep. Chapter 17 is Grover gets grounded. Percy wakes up and Annabeth makes him breakfast. They literally are just couple goals, aren't they? They're just perfect. And there's another little Percabeth quote here that I pulled, which is, "If I hadn't already been in love with her, that would have sealed the deal." Guys, I don't even think I need to say anything. I think everybody who listens to the podcast knows what I'm thinking, so they're like, yeah, oh, she's so like wife material, guys. I'm waiting for that day where Rick finally gives me what I want. Rick, if you're listening, please make it happen. Because I don't know how much more of this I can take. I swear one day I'm gonna read such a cute moment of theirs and I'm just gonna pass out from a heart attack or something. Anyway, Percy fills them in about what had happened with Hecuba, and Grover tells him that he wanted to go to the German nightclub wearing the wedding dress from the Sea of Monsters book. Oh, I actually would love to see that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm really excited for season 2 of the Percy Jackson series because I really want to see what Arya looks like in a wedding dress. I think it would be amazing. And I just want to quickly point out something. Ever since I've started reading the books, like after I've watched the show. You know, whoever I thought Percy looked like originally, I now only see Walker, Aryan, and Leah. Like I don't see anybody else. Like even I was reading Sea of Monsters, and all I could see in my mind when I was like reading the book, I could just see Dior as Clarice, and I could just see Charlie as Luke. Like even though they're described completely differently in the books, I just see them now. Just to anybody else, like I would genuinely want to know because I think those guys play their roles so well. Like they're kind of like imprinted in my mind now. But now when I read these books, they're all I can see. But yeah. Anyway, sorry, went on a tangent there. But yeah, I love that little Sea of Monsters reference. I think that's amazing. Um. Annabeth tells him that she has to go to school today, so him and Grover have to find Gale. She's basically found some pointers to help them find Gale, and she tells Grover to protect Percy. I love that because she knows for a fact. Sorry, I've got cold. Sorry, mild interruption there. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, she tells Grover to protect Percy. Now, I love that because she knows that Percy would do anything to protect anyone, and you know, I think the fact that she said it to somebody else, I think she wants Percy to know that she wants to protect him as much as he would protect her, and I think it's so sweet. And we, of course, we know that Grover would do that regardless of whether she asked him or not. But I just loved that little moment. That was so sweet. Percy reads Annabeth's notes on how Hecate turned Gale into a polecat because she got on her bad side while she was selling potions and fragrances. Again, we'll come a little bit more to that a little bit later on. Like I know that might not make sense right now, but Rick explains it really well a little bit later on, so we'll come to that in a little while. Percy finds a flyer for Hecate's School of Magic, which is torn up and then it was put in a frame. And Percy sees the initials SEJ. Now, SEJ confused me originally. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't sure who it was. But remember those initials because they're really important. um, yeah. If anybody's worked it out, let me know. If you haven't worked it out, it's okay. I was just as clueless as you are. But it will all make sense in the next few parts that we go through together. And he recognizes them, and then Grover asks if he is okay. Now, this should have tipped me off a little bit. If Percy knows who the initials are, it really should have clicked to me, but it didn't, I'll be honest. I think when I was reading, guys, I was really tired, and when I was taking the notes for this, like, it's kind of hard to take notes at the same time as reading for the first time, but I kind of enjoyed it because you guys get to hear, like, my personal thoughts and feelings, like, as I'm reading the book. Like, I feel like it's different if I read the book first and then go back and reread it. Like I'll have lots of other things to say and I'll already know plot twists and stuff, so that doesn't really help. But yeah. Remember those initials, they're really important. Grover says that he has an idea, but first he needs to ground himself for a few minutes. Now, when he said ground himself, I thought this is so stupid that he was going to go and put himself in a timeout or something. He's still feeling really guilty, guys, about what he's done. And he's so hard on himself. And I know, like, I can't say anything because I'm really tough on myself as well. But I feel like he's too hard on himself. Like, he's even worse than I am. And I think that that says a lot. He took Percy to Gramercy Park and buried himself in a flower bed, saying he needs to prepare himself for the squirrels. Now, I was a little bit worried about this because squirrels kind of scare me, I'm not going to lie. The squirrels ran up to Grover while he was covered and while he was in the ground, and they completely cover him. And Percy, being the impulsive guy that he is, rushes over to him to try and help him. Grover gets up after Percy's gotten rid of the squirrels and says that he was trying to connect with everything alive in Manhattan to find Gale, to see if he could spot her, hear anything about her, so that they can find her, basically. He thinks he's found Gale on Lafayette Street, and Grover says that they need to walk south. And there was a lovely little Pesbeth moment here, which made me laugh, which was an Annabeth plan would have been more effective, more targeted, and more logical. Now, what I love about that moment is, of course, obviously Annabeth's not there with him, but even when she's not there, like he's always thinking about her. I love that he's always bigging her up, and he always makes her seem too good for him, which is ridiculous. Like I think that they're just perfect for each other. But I just love that. And that's the way people should be talking about their partners. Like when their partners physically aren't present, they should be thinking about them in a positive way as well, which I love. Oh, I love Percy. He's great. Um they leave a note in Annabeth's why can't I talk today? They leave a note with Annabeth's dorm advisor, That was obviously a very good idea that they had, because otherwise she would have been worried sick if she'd come back and they'd completely disappeared. And Percy notices that there's something wrong with Grover. He's like, he can barely stand up, and he's sort of really dizzy and really lightheaded. And Percy decides to get him some food to bring his energy levels. Now, Grover explains what actually he meant by the grounding himself, which is that it's something that only a cloven elder can do. But when he does it, he connects with nature on such a level that he could dissolve into nothing. You know, when I read that, I was actually really angry. I was like, oh my god. I was like, please, Rick, don't do this. Like, I love Grover so much. And the thought of something happening to him, honestly, I'm just like, please, Rick. I was like, you hurt me so much in Heroes of Olympus. Like, when we read that together after we've been through this book together, you guys are going to see how much it actually killed me reading Heroes of Olympus. So, yeah, please, nothing to happen to Grover because I love him so much. And you know, he's just the best. And even though he makes mistakes, like I wouldn't ever want to see anything bad happen to him. Chapter 18 is I Smell a New Fragrance for Men. Percy is so angry with Grover once he finds out, and he blows up a fire hydrant. And Grover tells him to sit down before he destroys any more city property. Comedic timing, again, is just something else. Grover reveals that he's done this because he feels responsible. He's kind of upset because Percy and Annabeth, they're gonna leave, they're gonna go off to college, and he's gonna get left behind. And he feels like he might have unintentionally sabotaged the mission because he was constantly thinking about this. And he doesn't want them to go. Like, this for me was really sad because I feel so bad for him. Like, this is gonna be so hard for Grover. Like, Percy and Annabeth have, even though they weren't together as much in Heroes of Olympus, like Percy and Annabeth have always been with Grover. Do you know what I mean? Like from the beginning of the books, they've always been together. Like from the Lightning Thief book up until Last Olympian, like they're always together. And I think the thought of them moving on without him, like maybe he feels like he doesn't have a place anymore. That's really sad. And you know, I love Grover like to absolute pieces, and I think I was just getting choked up like listening to his reasons. And maybe he's right. Maybe he did unconsciously influence the mission. Maybe he did this on purpose without even realizing it because he was so hurt. And honestly, I feel like choked just thinking about it. Like I can't possibly comprehend how Grover must be feeling, but I just want to give him a big hug. So I'm just like, oh, my baby. I was like, oh no. Um, Percy reassures him by telling him that nothing is worth losing his best friend and hugs him. Their bromance, guys, is just next level. Like, what I love about Rick is that he's constantly encouraging young boys and young girls, young men, young women that are listening to his work to never brush away your feelings, especially for guys. Like, they feel the need to just put up a brave face and just carry on no matter what's bothering them. And, I think he is trying to show everybody that every feeling that you have is valid, even the negative ones. Like, I think what Rick's trying to say is if you weren't supposed to feel that way, you wouldn't have those feelings. And that's why they're there. Your feelings are there to help you regulate what's going on. And, it's okay to feel like crap from time to time. It's okay to be sad, to be angry, to be happy, to just feel overwhelmed. Like, they're all valid human emotions. And, I just, yeah, Rick is just, I don't know how he does it. Like, he incorporates so many of these lessons in his writing in a really implicit way. And I love that about his writing style. I think that's why he's probably my favorite author. He makes Grover a promise that no more grounding himself. I agree. I don't think that it's worth it. Like, I know Grover is trying to help, but if it dissolves him into nothing, then it is 100% not worth it. Anyway, sorry, I'm still feeling like crap, but let's carry on. Um, Grover tells Percy that the squirrels told him that they last saw a polecat with four spirits from beyond the coast, and Grover thinks that maybe Aeneid might be involved with this. Now the first person that I could think of was Eudora, and she keeps freaking out, so that kind of raises my suspicions because I'm just like, I want to know how she's somehow entangled with all this. And the way she's entangled, guys, is just something unexpected. But yeah, we'll come back to that. They continue down the street when they find a perfume shop, which they think Gail might have come here to sort of hide her scent so that Percy and them couldn't find her. Isn't that just so clever though? Like she knows how to sort of mask her scent so nobody can find her. I think that's pretty clever. They come across a massive fragrance shop that looks like a Greek sort of architectural structure, and they see the word Aia. It's a Greek word, and Percy says that something feels off about the shop. Percy sees a woman behind the counter and she's enamored, and she snatches a few perfume bottles and walks directly towards them with an expression full of hatred. Yeah, let's just say this is not going to end very well, but then when does anything ever end well for our trio? They always end up in some sort of trouble. So yeah, I honestly think that sometimes Rick really has it out for them. Like he always creates these characters that absolutely hate them. But yeah, we'll come to that. So chapter 19 is Oops, I Killed You Again. The woman tells him that he shall not pass, and she introduces herself as Philomena, and Aia was her home island. She says that they won't deprive her sisters of a chance with the weasel. Sorry, weasel? Does she know what Gale actually is? Like, where did she get a weasel from? I think there's a bit of a difference between a weasel and a polecat, but okay, whatever. Percy knows that at some point in his life he's probably offended her and he tries to apologize, but instead she throws a vial of perfume at them. And the vials explode all over Percy and Grover, obviously. And Percy uses his abilities to save them both. Um, he sort of deflects the perfume off them, and he passes out, and Grover basically has to shake him awake again. Percy realizes that he vaporized Philomena to save them. I mean, like it's one of those decisions where, like, if somebody attacks you and you attack them and end up doing damage, it is just self defense. So I know that he did the right thing because she wasn't exactly friendly, but I also want to know what sort of big grudge she has with them. Um, Eh, I guess we'll find out soon enough. They meet a guy who works for Philomena, and he says that there is no polecat here. But their new product line was sold out in 10 minutes. And that Philomena used to keep whinging about having to share it. Now, remember that product comes a little bit important a little bit later on. The guy shows them um, the business card, and it has the name Fancy Water written on it. And he says that he was waiting for Philomena to fire him so that he can go and work there instead. Oh, traitor much. I can see why he didn't really want to work for her. She's not very a nice person, so I guess I let him off on that. And Grover and Percy realize that her sister must be there and tell the guy to lock up since Philomena wasn't coming back anytime soon. I bet that guy was so relieved. He was like, "Thank you for taking me out of a job and getting rid of my boss." Chapter 20 is we get dangerously fancy. So Percy and Grover find the fancy water shop, and Percy knows that Aeneid is inside. And he's asking Grover if he can sense Gale's presence inside. Percy thinks that Philomena might have offered Gale a job, so she might not want to leave, which is why they can't find her, basically. Percy suggests them pretending to be customers looking for a gift. Grover says that he'll take the lead. Now, I think that that's for the best. No offense to Percy. I don't trust his improvisation skills whatsoever. I love you, Percy, but let's be real here. He's not the best at making things up on the spot, especially when he doesn't have Annabeth to bounce off of. So I'm with Grover. I'll let him take the lead on this. They go inside of the shop, and Grover tells the woman that he's looking for a gift for his girlfriend, who's a juniper blossom. And let's just say she gets the hint. Oh, thank God. Can you imagine if you walked into the shop and said that? I bet there'd be so many people being like, what? Thankfully, she gets the hint. And Grover introduces himself to her, and she says that it's an honor to meet a cloven elder. She says her name is Sylvie. Sylvie thinks that she's met Percy before. Oh no. I hate it. I hate it when they're like, "Do I know you?" And I'm just like, please, I'm begging that she doesn't know who he is. And you know what? The whole time I was reading this scene, I was like, Percy, I beg you, please keep that sassy mouth shut. Do not say anything that is out of line or that can reveal who you are, because otherwise she's going to come straight at you. Um, Grover says that he wants miracle, which is the scent that that guy was talking about initially in the last chapter. And Sylvie says that she doesn't sell cheap imitation magic. Oh, okay, that's a little harsh actually. There was just no need for that. Sylvie tells him that miracle is a love potion hoax, and her potions are way better. Okay, so there's a bit of a rivalry going on between the perfume shops, of course there is. She pulls out a blue box that read the word spellbound, an ancient recipe that she recently rediscovered. Okay, that sounds really sus to me. I'm sorry, but like an ancient recipe that you've just rediscovered in a blue box that's called spellbound. I don't know. Anybody else think that that sounds sus? Because I think it does. Um, Grover says that he has to have it, and she says he can only have it if he gives her 1,000 golden drachmas. You know, guys, I had a water bottle in my hand and I spat out my water. Like, 1,000 golden drachmas. Like, is she actually taking the rip? Who carries 1,000 golden drachmas on him? I'm sure whatever rediscovered recipe she has in there is definitely not worth that kind of money. She tells Grover to try it before he takes it for Juniper. Oh no, oh no, why, why? She tells Percy that why can I not talk? She says to Percy that he's a better test subject and she sprays it in his face. Okay, intrusive much. If somebody did that to me, I'd be like, what are you doing? And she says that she remembers him and that he's about to be nothing as well. Oh, great. That's really good, isn't it? And that's where the chapter comes to an end. And that's where we're going to leave it there for today. So let's sort of wrap this up with my final thoughts and feelings. That scene where Percy is talking about his fears for the new baby is so well written. And, you know, I could actually feel his vulnerability through the text. And you know what? He is going to make the best big brother. Like, I genuinely mean that. And, you know, we might not get to see that in this book, but hopefully in the next book, like, I can't wait to see. He is going to be just the best. Like, if I don't know what to say. He's just great. And, you know, I think that Percy's honesty and sharing this vulnerability connected so much with Hecuba that she actually agreed to go home. Like she finally felt that there was somebody else that feels the things that she does. And that I think that there's such a power in that as well. So yeah, that scene is definitely one of my favorites from this book. Now, anybody have any guesses to who the initials SEJ stand for? You know what? When I read it initially, I was not so sure, and I wasn't so sure until it was revealed. So honestly, don't feel bad if you're not sure who it is. You know, that whole scene where Grover was trying to ground himself. Annabeth is gonna kill him when she finds out about that. I'm gonna kill him if he ever tries to do anything like that. Like, honestly, guys, I don't think you understand. Like, I will actually cry my eyes out if something happens to Grover. Like, Rick, I'm begging you. Like, my heart physically cannot take it, so please don't do it. Now, it left me wondering as I was reading the last few chapters what Percy actually did to Philomena and Sylvie. Like, it literally was not ringing a bell in my mind. Like, I could not remember for the life of me what he'd done to her. So, if anybody wants to help me out, please let me know, because I wasn't sure. And even now, I can barely remember what he did to them. Um, anyway, I wonder what's going to happen to Percy after she sprayed him in the face. Well, guess we'll find out in the next episode, won't we? So that was chapter 4, chapters 16 to 20. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know how you guys are feeling about the books. You know, are you enjoying it? I loved it. Like, it's been maybe about 2 weeks since I finished the book, and I loved it. And it just like even now as I'm rereading my notes, like I can remember how I was feeling when I read the book, and it was great. I'm so sorry I forgot to put a spoiler disclaimer, so I will just put it in my YouTube information and in my Spotify that the episode contains major spoilers. So I'm sorry I forgot to say it at the beginning. I got really excited to talk about this episode and I completely forgot. So I'm so sorry about that. Happy reading if you guys are still reading it. Let me know what you guys think of the book. I absolutely loved it. It did not miss and it did not disappoint. So I'm so happy. Thank you guys so much for listening in. I really appreciate it. Don't forget that all episodes of the podcast are available to stream on Spotify and on my YouTube channel. Both are at Aamsuntitledpodcast. Please do subscribe to my YouTube channel whilst you are there. Follow me on Spotify. It'd be greatly appreciated. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Threads. I'm most active there. Um, if you want to DM me any questions, Instagram, Threads, anything, just I do check emails and stuff as well. So if you've got any questions, let me know. Is there anything else I need to say before I go? I can't remember anything for the life of me of what I was going to say for a second there. But yeah, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode and I will speak to you guys very soon.